Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Leanne, and in today's video I'm sharing with you another what's for dinner. And so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get straight into tonight's dinner, which is going to be a steak stir fry. So I'm going to get started with a marinade for the steak bites. This recipe is actually just for steak bites, but I will link that below. But it sounded good to use in a stir fry, so that's what I did. So I'm just mixing in a bowl a half a cup of coconut aminos. The recipe calls for soy sauce, but I use coconut aminos. A third a cup of olive oil, a quarter cup of Worcestershire sauce, about a teaspoon of minced garlic, about 2 tablespoons of dried basil, and a tablespoon of dried parsley. This recipe also calls for black pepper, but I do not like black pepper, so I usually omit those from recipes. And if my husband wants to add that to his dinner, he can do so. And then I'm using these sirloin steaks. I do have 2 of these. I got these on sale a while back, so I decided to pull them out for this. And you're just going to cut them up into bite-sized pieces and let them soak up that marinade for about 3 hours minimum to 24 hours. So you could certainly do this the day before. On this day, I just did this in the morning, and then we made them for dinner later that evening. So now it's evening time and we are going to chop up all of the veggies. I am doing carrots and broccoli. I feel like that's kind of typical for a stir fry. And I know that you can buy like the matchstick matchstick cut carrots. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I know you can buy that. But I prefer the taste of like freshly chopped vegetables that aren't pre-done, just because some of the stuff that they're soaked in and everything to preserve them, I just feel like the flavor is better. But if you need to take a quicker route, like there's nothing wrong with that. Same thing with the broccoli. You could buy some already cut up broccoli. I wouldn't recommend using frozen broccoli in stir fry. It wouldn't be, I guess if you like it more cooked, I like my broccoli a little bit more al dente with my stir fry. So for me, I prefer fresh, but you can still buy this all pre-cut if you want to make it a little bit quicker, but this is how we do it. And we're just going to get it all chopped up and ready, and then we're going to go ahead and start cooking everything up. So I just dumped the whole bowl with the marinade and the steak pieces into this pan, and we're just cooking this up. It does not take very long, just a couple minutes on each side. They're small pieces, so you're just going to keep turning them until everything is fully cooked, and then I'm taking them out and putting them in another bowl so that we can use the same pan for the next thing. I didn't even wash it. I just kind of like wiped it out, and we're getting started now with the veggies. So I'm just putting in a little bit of sesame oil and some minced garlic and letting that cook for just like a few seconds really, and then dumping all the vegetables in. And we're going to start getting them to cook down. Like I said earlier, I like my veggies in stir fry to be a little bit al dente, not super cooked, but you can do that to your taste and your preference. And instead of rice, I'm using rice cauliflower, so I'm just dumping that in there as well. And that's just frozen, and there's plenty of liquid in there in the frozen rice cauliflower. So just let that cook down a little bit, and then I'm adding in just a little bit of coconut aminos, followed by a little bit of ginger. I do not ever have fresh ginger, so I just put in some of the dried stuff, and we're going to mix that together really well, and then pop a lid on it and let the steam from the heat and everything just do its thing and let it cook for a little while. And then once I can tell that the veggies are done, just by checking in with a fork or tasting it or whatever, we're going to add the steak bites back in and mix that all together. And then we're going to fry up 3 eggs or scramble up 3 eggs. I like a lot of egg in my stir fry, so I'm doing 3 eggs, and I purposefully try not to get them like scrambled too finely, if that makes sense. I like big chunks in my stir fry, so again, of course, you can do that to your preference. And then once the eggs are done, we're just going to dump that in with everything else, and we'll be ready to go. And seriously, as I'm editing this video, I am really, really wanting this dinner again. This was so good. The steak flavor was so perfect in this stir fry, and my husband just added a few cashews to his because that's how he likes it. This dinner was a win for sure. So for tonight's dinner, we are going to be having some chicken salad. So I'm just going to season up some chicken tenders and put them in the oven to cook. And this is just a combination of seasonings that I've done before. I have it written down in my recipe book without measurements. I think I just jotted it down once because I liked it. So I'm gonna do this just to taste and what sounds good. So I will leave the seasonings I used in the description box below just as chicken seasoning. I don't have any ratios, just do it based on what sounds good to you and based on how much chicken you have. So I am just doing this seasoning. I will say this came out so good. Once again, I realized why I wrote it down, but I just covered both sides of these chicken tenders and baked them in the oven, probably for like 20 or 25 minutes because they were, you know, just little chicken tenders. They didn't take super long. And yeah, this was so good. I definitely love this combination of the chicken, or of the seasoning for the chicken. And then we just cut up our vegetables. So normally my husband does all of this and the chopping of the salads. He just does it perfectly. But I'm thinking we were maybe eating late and I wanted to get it done before he got home or something like that. I don't remember. But for us, we love our salads chopped up nice and small so that we can get a little bit of everything in each bite. Kind of like if you ever get like at Subway, they turn a sub into a salad. They like totally chop everything up. And that's how we like it. So anyways, my husband did help out with the chicken here. I think we also added in hard-boiled eggs, but I don't see that on the footage. So that apparently disappeared. But we had these great chicken salads for dinner. And this was excellent. We have not, we used to have salads all the time, and we still do, but for like the main course for dinner, it's been a little while. So this was really good. For tonight's dinner, we are having beef stroganoff, which is something I used to shy away from making because I do not like mushrooms, but it's still really good if you omit the mushrooms. So that is what I do. So I am starting out by, we're gonna brown up about 1 pound of ground beef, and I'm going to add in a teaspoon or so of salt, and you could add in pepper too, but I don't cook with pepper. I feel like I have to say that all the time in case someone misses that. But and then 1 large white onion diced. Here's just a little tip if you are not someone who cares for onion. I do not like onion, especially if it's like raw. But I decided I want to try to incorporate it into my dinners because I know it adds good flavors and I know it's good for you. So what I find is if I cut it up really small and it's in a recipe where I can cook it really well, it has a very different taste. You really don't notice it once it's really cooked, and you don't have any of that raw onion taste. So anyways, I just thought I'd add that. That is the only time I will add onion to recipes if I can pull that off. So it's at this point in the recipe that you would add in the mushrooms and cook them for about 10 minutes, but we are going to skip that. So I am just going to add in my garlic. So we're going to go ahead and add in 4 cups of beef broth. I will have a link in the description box for the original recipe that I found on Pinterest for you to check out. And then we're going to add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. This is the pasta that we use. And I believe the recipe calls for 4 cups of the egg noodles, but if I remember correctly when I've done this before, 4 cups of these noodles is too much. Maybe it's fine in the egg noodles, I don't know. I don't even always measure this kind of thing, but I didn't want to accidentally dump in too much. Maybe 2 1/4 cups is what I'm doing. And then, let's see, want to bring to a boil. And then we're going to reduce heat and cover and let that cook. Now the recipe says for around 20 minutes. I don't think we need to do around 20 minutes because these noodles I don't think are going to take that long. Okay, so my noodles are just about done. It's gonna be a little bit before I eat. Still waiting for my husband to get home. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the stuff even though the noodles aren't quite done. Turn this down to low. And I'm going to add in, I think it was a 1/4 cup of cream cheese. That was not supposed to happen like that. And then it says a 1/4 cup of sour cream, so I'm not totally measuring that, but about that is good. And we're just going to mix that all in together and then garnish with parsley. Oh my gosh, I'm at the point where I'm making a mess. I just topped it with some parsley flakes, and this dinner was really good. Served up with some steamed green beans, and this was definitely a winner dinner. Hey guys, so for tonight's dinner, I'm making a Parmesan crusted chicken. I'm kind of making up my own recipe, kind of following one. Let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is grate up some of this, I think this is pecorino romano. The part of it is covered up by a discount sticker, but I'm gonna grate that up. I've done a recipe similar to this recently in a video, but I definitely fine-tuned it this time, and this came out even better than the last time. So I'm gonna do about a cup of that cheese. This is definitely a saltier cheese, so just keeping that in mind when adding the other seasonings. And that seems like a lot for 2 chicken breasts. All right, we're gonna switch that to a half a cup of Parmesan or pecorino romano. And then I'm gonna just do some panko breadcrumbs, and I think I'm just gonna do whatever's left here, which is about half of a cup. And if I find myself short on this, I can just add in some more of the cheese later. Gonna mix that together. And I am going to add in just a tiny bit of salt, but if you're using a less salty cheese, maybe you'll add more. And then I'm going to add in some parsley and some onion powder. I don't know, maybe a half a teaspoon of each. So I'm just going to combine in another bowl 1 egg with 1 tablespoon of melted butter and about a teaspoon of minced garlic. I did let my egg get to room temperature, or at least just let it sit out for a little bit, just so that it wasn't super cold in comparison with the melted butter, so that the melted butter didn't get like firm or get chunks in it. Anyways, I'm just dipping my chicken breast in the egg mixture, then in the breadcrumb and cheese mixture. And this was so good. I really, really do believe that the pecorino romano cheese made the difference compared to Parmesan. Parmesan cheese is wonderful, but this freshly grated pecorino romano has amazing flavor, and I need to remember to get that more often. I grew up having that cheese a lot. We had that with most Italian dishes. I'm sure there were times where we just had Parmesan, but the pecorino romano sticks out to me. So anyways, I will also say that these measurements are in the description box below, and this made enough for 2 very large chicken breasts. I actually had extra. You'll see I use it because I wasn't about to waste that mixture, and it was delicious with all of the extra on top, but you could probably do 3 chicken breasts or maybe even 4 smaller chicken breasts with that, so adjust based on your needs here. And I'm just going to bake this in the oven at 350 until they are done. These were bigger ones, so they took a little bit longer. And but just do them till they're cooked. At the end, I checked to see if they were cooked and needed a little bit more time, so I put them back in the oven. But you'll see I drizzle a little bit of butter on. It's not necessary. I just wanted to. That's what I'm doing here. But I served this up with some brown rice and steamed broccoli, and this was delicious. My husband kept telling me how good it was and gave me a fist bump and was like, this was one of my favorite dinners. So I highly recommend giving this one a try. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss out on my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.